Story 1. Being told I am breaking up with you because you are not married yet takes the cake for me. She was not upset that we were not getting married. She thought it was a huge red flag that I had been the best man at several weddings and I was not married. She thought it was odd because many of my peers were married. If I was not married, there had to be some underlying cause. I was 24 and the people I served as best man for were two cousins, age 32 and 34. A college friend, age 29, and a coworker, age 32. I even asked her if she was upset that I had not discussed the possibility of marriage with her after dating for 3 to 4 months. She said no, it was too early, but she just could not get over it. 6 years later, I am still not married and neither is she, but I have heard from mutual friends that she remains confused that I am not married. Story 2. I already commented in this thread but remembered another story. I was dating a woman for almost 4 months. From our first date, we spent weeknights at each other's places, met up almost every weekend, and attended parties as a couple. It was casual. We had not officially asked each other out, but we agreed we were seeing each other. One weekend, approaching 4 months since we started dating by a few days, we went away to stay in an Airbnb in the countryside. We had a lovely weekend, but it almost did not happen because I was having trouble booking that weekend off work. I was working shifts then. The day before we were due to go home, we were walking around the village and she asked how I got the days off. I told her I had to tell my manager that I was going away for the weekend with my girlfriend. I explained it was simpler and I was more likely to get the time off than if I had been vague or given some other excuse. There was an immediate shift in her mood. When we swung past the place where we were staying, she said she wanted to grab a bottle of water quickly from the fridge, so I waited outside in the sun. She came out with her bags, said she did not want to be called someone's girlfriend, walked down the road to the local train station, and got on the train home. Story 3. My sister once broke up with a man because he did not like her new sofa. Story 4. Some people cannot handle any time apart. I knew a couple who broke up because the man worked and the woman resented that he was not with her all day. Even when they were together, she insisted on doing everything with him. She could not even wait 2 minutes in the car while he paid for gas. She would get out and start nagging him. They eventually broke up after a screaming match when he picked something up from his mother's house without her. It happened on the street. He was gone for about 17 minutes, and she assumed he had gone to see someone else. Story 5. We were not dating, but we were considering it. He called me because it was the anniversary of a friend's death and he just wanted to talk to someone. He started crying, then immediately apologized and said, "Men do not cry." I told him it was fine and that men have emotions too. He explained that was not how he had been raised, then hung up. I never heard from him again. This made me seriously rethink men's mental health and how society treats them. Story 6. I refused to send her a set number of texts a day describing how beautiful she was and that I was thinking about her, regardless of what I was doing. She wanted a minimum of 4 of these texts per day, with a maximum time limit between them that I had to adhere to. I refused and she said she felt sorry for me, that I would be sad and lonely for the rest of my life. Last time I checked, she was 45 and single, complaining on Facebook about not being able to find a husband, how men ghost her and so on. Note: she was 30 when we met. Story 7. I was broken up with by a man who said he wanted a partner in crime to go see bands with. I was finishing my music degree, and all I did for fun was attend live shows. 13 years later, I have traveled the world to see my favorite bands. This year I went to a concert weeks after my cesarean section. I still have no idea what he meant. You could not find a woman who goes to more concerts and loves music more than I do. Story 8. There is a legendary Reddit post on the Am I the Asshole subreddit about a man who broke up with his girlfriend because she insisted on eating his beans. He was upset to wake up and find no beans left in the fridge. Unfortunately, I do not have the printout anymore. Story 9. I chose pink post-it notes instead of yellow. I'm sorry. I thought pink would be a refreshing change, but you did not like it. That really upset me. Story 10. A friend once broke up with his girlfriend because she ate pizza with a fork and knife. He said he couldn't trust her judgment after that. Story 11. Not me, but my friend smiled at a homeless man and gave him money. The man accidentally touched her hand, and her partner became jealous. They had a big fight and eventually broke up. He is the one playing the victim. Story 12. Concerned, aloof, command, oil, disagreeable, edge, fade, smell, escape, gray. Story 13. On our second date, we were sitting in a crowded place of his choosing where I could barely hear him. He asked if I wanted to go for a walk, but his foot was broken, so I said only if he was okay walking that long and that I was willing to move if he was uncomfortable. We did not end up going for a walk, but we changed seats. He texted me later saying it would not work out because I seemed like an unkind person for not noticing that the person next to him was making eating noises and asking him to move before he did. I later found out that he sat his mother down and told her everything we talked about, word for word, so I guess I dodged a bullet laughing out loud. Story 14. I once watched a couple in our friend group break up because they were fighting about what to watch on television. It was extremely awkward. Story 15. It was not the only reason they broke up, but it was the final straw. They could not agree whether the ketchup should be kept in the cupboard or refrigerated. Story 16. My brother refused to date a woman because of her shoes. I was like, what? I must say she dodged a bullet there. Story 17. I once broke up with a guy because he refused to wash the bottoms of plates and bowls. Story 18. She accused you of using a container of peanut butter to attract ants into her room, which caused her to have a panic attack even though you had nothing to do with it. Story 19. My friend broke up with someone because she dreamed that they cheated on her. Story 20. As a generous person, the dumbest thing I heard from my ex was that he bought things to win over his sister. She was in foster care, and when I met her, her clothes were badly torn. Story 21. I am unwilling to take part in family TikTok videos. Story 22. I was dumped by a woman with a celebrity crush so strong, she said, she could not split her affections and would follow her feelings for the celebrity. I had no problem being dumped. It simply confirmed she was bonkers. The celebrity was David Gahan from Depeche Mode. Last I checked, they never got together. Story 23. An old roommate and her boyfriend broke up during a fight that started because she had not moisturized her elbows. He said something like, "How will you ever take care of our future children if you cannot even remember to put lotion on?" They broke up and reconciled dozens of times. Now they are married, and I wonder how it is going. Update. I just looked at her social media. He does not appear in any of her photos, which is fascinating. Story 24. I once read a post about a woman who broke up with a man because his mouth formed a trapezoid when he spoke. Story 25. She made a fry-up, sausage, bacon, and eggs. We are both a bit uneasy about eggs, especially when they are barely cooked and gelatinous. Turns my stomach, so I did not eat them, and she did not like that. I explained my reasons, and she did not like that either, so we had a massive argument and I broke up with her. She did not like that either and ran around the house breaking things for a few hours before leaving. Story 26. I'm still waiting to hear from the girl who caught her boyfriend defecating into his hand. Story 27. I nearly got dumped by a guy who did not like how I played Monopoly. Story 28. How we write dates differs. Living in the United States, I write month/day/year. She, being Canadian, wrote day/month/year. She had many American friends and was very smart. But one day she blew up and said we could not be together because that date does not exist and she cannot tolerate delusional behavior. Turned out she was dating 3 other people. Story 29. I thought Jeff Buckley's version of Hallelujah was the original. To my horror, my partner at the time realized the age gap between us was too much for him. I was corrected that the song was by Leonard Cohen, and he ended our relationship a few days later. Story 30. I broke it off with a woman because of her voice. I couldn't take her seriously. I was only 23 at the time. It was silly of me. Story 31. I knew a couple who had been together for years and broke up over a conversation about landmines. Story 32. During a family holiday on the South Island of New Zealand, my ill sister built a small flat pile of rocks in the river. There were a few others nearby. As we were leaving, my partner kicked it over. I broke up with her the next day. She still thinks it is not because of the kicked rock. Story 33. Refusing to change her last name after marriage. I'm a man and I couldn't care less. I heard about a man who realized the week before the wedding that his partner, who had repeatedly told him she would not change her last name, meant it. He did not believe her until then and broke up with her. Story 34. I once broke up with a girlfriend for a number of reasons, but the last straw was when I played Ella Fitzgerald during dinner at my place, and she said she did not like old music. I asked what she considered old music, and she said anything made before 2015. I still stand by my decision to break up. Story 35. I went to a concert with friends. I had bought the tickets before we started dating. He did not tell me he was upset and ended the relationship when I went. I would have gone anyway. Based on his next relationship, I dodged a bullet. Story 36. You accused your husband of eating a breadstick and threatened divorce, only to discover it was one of your children. This happened to a friend of mine. Story 37. I ended the relationship because their toes were oddly shaped. I could not deal with looking at them forever. Story 38. She broke up with me because I kept the toilet lid closed after every use. My ex wanted the toilet seat ready to use without lifting the lid. I dodged a bullet. Story 39. My girlfriend, who was cheating on me, decided to break up with me. She said she usually dated taller men, so her main reason was that I was too short for her. It is not like I stood on a fucking box for 2 years. Story 40. When I was very young, I broke up with someone because they had a booger and I could not tell them. He tried to kiss me with it still there, so I ended the relationship. Poor kid. I dodged a bullet. Story 41. People who leave their partner because of their horoscope or astrological sign. Story 42. I knew a man whose ex broke up with him because she was jealous of the gifts he bought his daughter for Christmas. They were not even that expensive, just some makeup and a phone case. Story 43. We were watching the same series, which is based on a comic, and he had read the comics. I asked him not to tell me how it ends, but he did it anyway. There were other issues, but this was the final straw. Story 44. I knew a peculiar woman who spoke out of the side of her mouth and was nicknamed Sidewinder. She was somewhat attractive but would go from 0 to 100% when she met a man. She quickly married and divorced him because she thought the pilot light on the furnace was out. He did not attend to it immediately. She said she could not be both the man and the woman in the relationship. Story 45. He wanted me to go outside onto the porch while he went to take a shit. I said no, I was getting ready for bed and to just turn some music on. I have not seen or heard from him since the next morning. Thankfully. It was weird. Back then I was about 16 and stayed overnight with my then 19-year-old boyfriend, and I was clueless about what would actually happen. In hindsight, I know he was either watching pornography or talking on the phone with other women and did not want me to hear. Story 46. He told me I was punishing him by going out with my friends on my birthday while he had to work. Story 47. I knew someone who nearly broke up with their partner because they did not make enough food for lunches the next day. I wish I were exaggerating. Story 48. My wife broke up with me because I admitted to having an affair 2 years ago. She forgot to mention her polyamorous boyfriend, who had been involved longer than our marriage, and that she was actually an adult film actress, not the restaurant manager I believed her to be. It is probably for the best. The relationship was doomed from the start. Story 49. I broke up with him because he didn't trim his nose hair or take care of his feet. Story 50. I was dumped after I had a seizure. Long story short, I was dating a woman and we were at a bar. I had half of a rum and coke over the course of 2 hours. I suddenly felt very overheated and started seeing black spots in my vision. I told her I was about to pass out. The next thing I knew, I was waking up with people standing over me and handing me water. She ghosted me that night and did not explain why. 2 weeks later, she told me I had a seizure and that was why she had ghosted me. I had never had a seizure before. If I had known, I would have gone to the hospital, but instead I drove home for an hour. Story 51. When I told you 2 weeks ahead of time that my friend planned an outing for my birthday on November 2nd and you said okay. And now you're angry that I was out for 6 hours because the place she planned was an hour away and the escape room took an hour. We went out to eat because we were hungry, then had 3 beers at a bar and played darts. I left at 1 p.m. and got home at 7 p.m., and somehow I am the bad person here. I turned 55 on November 8th, and he is still angry that I got to have some fun with a friend who is also a woman. So this is why we are breaking up. I think this is petty, but he has been mad for over a week about this. I am done. Story 52. My ex broke up with me because I did not want her to go to my grandmother's celebration of life with me. We had been dating for less than a year. She did not know my grandmother, and I did not feel comfortable crying in front of her. She became so offended that she kicked me out a few days later. Story 53. During a university lecture, a woman screamed at her boyfriend for taking her pencil because he had forgotten his. Everyone in the lecture hall, including the professor, watched silently. The man did not react when his girlfriend broke up with him. After she stormed out, he sat there as if nothing had happened. Story 54. A very strange woman I used to work with ended a relationship of more than 10 years because her boyfriend would not go to the zoo with her. Story 55. I had to break up with a man when I was 18 because my older sister lost custody of her baby. As the closest adult female next of kin, I was given custody of the baby. He became jealous of the baby, did not want to be around us, and complained that I was tired all the time and did not pay him enough attention. By the end, caring for the baby was easier than dealing with him. Story 56. Our relationship was never going to last, but the catalyst for the end was funny. I dated a woman for about a year during lockdown in a city with very strict rules. We probably would have broken up sooner if she had not been the only person from another household I was legally allowed to see. 2 important points. First, she had 2 large dogs weighing 25 to 30 kilograms each. She was obsessed with them, did not walk them, and slept in bed with them every night. Both were completely untrained and very difficult. I stayed at her place twice and could not handle it. Second, she had an expensive hairbrush. We had stayed with friends at an Airbnb, and she thought someone had stolen it. She messaged all my friends and complained that it cost $90. Turned out it had been in her bag the whole time. One night she texted that she had just brushed her dog. I cannot remember how it came up, but she said she used the $90 hairbrush on the dog, the same one she used on her hair. I said I could not believe it. She replied that if it was good for her, it was good for the dog. I said all right, if that is how she did it. Then she said we had to talk, and we broke up. I met the love of my life 3 weeks later at a party, and we are trying to buy our first home. Story 57. He wanted me to stop using marijuana. I wanted him to stop using methamphetamine. Laughing out loud. Story 58. Not me, but a friend's friend. He visited his father in the hospital. His father has cancer. His girlfriend broke up with him because he chose to see his father instead. I heard a friend say she had dodged a major bullet. Story 59. My ex broke up with me because I showed interest in a Suicide Boys concert. I did not actually want to go. I only mentioned it because we both liked them. He assumed I wanted to go and said he had already made plans with an online friend he had never met. He started to freak out and said he would ask if I could tag along, which I was not interested in, laughing out loud. Later, while I was occupied for 5 minutes, he kept calling and texting until he told me we were over. I had actually been planning to break up with him anyway. He wanted to stay friends but sent me voice memos while he was in public, calling me a crybaby and a bitch. A few hours after breaking up, he joked about us moving in together. Story 60. We both loved each other, but petty bickering, instigated equally by both of us, led to our breakup. In hindsight, I know I could have tried harder to figure things out. Looking back, it was one of the dumbest reasons to end a relationship. We live and we learn. I hope. Story 61. There are no dumb reasons. The statement "I do not want to be with you anymore" is the fundamental reason, and it is enough. If more people understood this fact of life, there would be far less unnecessary hurt. Story 62. I didn't break up with them, but someone I met on a dating app blocked me because, as a man, I was doing the laundry. I'm nearly 20. Story 63. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I said, not with you. Did I say that out loud? Story 64. I saw on Twitter a guy say, I just broke up with my girlfriend because her smile reminded me of somebody and I could not figure out who. Then I worked out it was Cameron Diaz. I am not a smart man. Story 65. My sister broke up with a man after finding out he shopped at Costco on Saturdays. Her life is akin to the television series Seinfeld. Story 66. They might cheat on you even though after 2 years they had given you no reason to believe they would. You have to love kids. Story 67. I broke up with someone because she said she doubted the validity of the moon landing. Story 68. I broke up with an ex because they kept slurping bread and butter pickles instead of eating them normally. They also took my pickles out of the brine and used the brine for beauty routines. Story 69. I actually did it and there is further context. Technically, I broke up with a girl over Santa Claus. She refused to tell hypothetical future children that Santa Claus existed. I decided that if she was unwilling to compromise on that, she would likely be unwilling to compromise about anything. Story 70. This was not my boyfriend. I had recently started dating a man, and he told me his favorite movie was Interstellar. We planned a little movie and wine night to watch it. When we put it on, I said Matthew McConaughey is a good actor, and he had absolutely zero idea who I was talking about. The fact that he did not know one of the most famous actors of all time, who is also the main character in his favorite movie, made me lose interest and I ended things shortly after. I laughed out loud. Story 71. A woman broke up with me because, as we were about to go into the restaurant I had taken her to, I noticed a recent ex working the bar. I had no idea she worked there. I asked to go somewhere else, and my date exploded at me, thinking I had taken her there on purpose to make my ex jealous. I still replay it in my head, wondering what I should have done differently. It was an unfortunate coincidence. Story 72. Seems silly, but lying about a cat collar. My ex-partner needed kitten collars that fit his 2 kittens. They had just been spayed and needed something to attach the cone to. I sent him a photo of a kitten collar from Bunnings that would fit them and told him that, even though Kmart is closer, they do not have any kitten collars. He instead went to Kmart, bought a regular-sized cat collar, removed it from the package, and hid the receipt in his car so I would not know. It obviously did not fit and was not the same collar I had shown him, but he doubled down on the lie, almost in tears, and accused me of accusing him. I looked in his car, found the receipt, ended the relationship, and took the cats with me. Story 73. I was dating a woman who left me because I was a virgin. Instead of staying to help me, she ended the relationship. Story 74. I know this may seem dumb, but I still cannot wrap my head around it. For context, I did not like to share negative emotions because of trust issues and a fear they would be used against me, so I bottled a lot up. My partner at the time and I had a massive argument because she thought I was cheating. I was not. I had been joking with a female classmate, who was the only person I knew in my tutor group. We got very heated. She said she wanted me to share my emotions more, but I said, no, I do not feel comfortable sharing. A normal person might have asked why or accepted it. She took offense, and a day or so later we broke up. I still hate myself a lot for how I was. I was not the greatest, so maybe she was right and I was a terrible partner. Story 75. He broke up with me because I asked too many questions, such as how his day was. Story 76. Someone broke up with me because I got a haircut once. I was very confused at the time and still am, laughing out loud. Story 77. A guy broke up with me because I sneezed in a strange way. He said he would not want to hear such loud sneezing every day. Story 78. I dated a woman who broke up with me after I said I was not sexually interested in a transgender friend of mine. I thought my friend was a great person, just not someone I found sexually attractive. She called me transphobic and ended the relationship. My only explanation is that her best friend had been encouraging her to break up already, so that may have been the first excuse she used. Story 79. She deleted my save after Demolition Man in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I am missing a few fingers on my right hand. Story 80. This was a long time ago when I was an immature idiot, but I did not like how she dyed her hair blue because it turned me off. I said she looked like a junkie and left. I hate myself. Well, that recollection just killed my mood. Fuck me. Story 81. My friend broke up with his girlfriend because Valentine's Day was coming up, and he did not have any money to get her anything. Story 82. My sister broke up with her first boyfriend because he was helping another girl up the stairs. The girl was on crutches and was clearly new to using them. Story 83. My friend broke up with a guy because he listened to anime original soundtracks. Story 84. My girlfriend broke up with me because of the Discord sad trumpet sound effect. Story 85. I am not sure if this is the dumbest thing, but I broke up with one of my boyfriends after he took my Game Boy Color and started a new game on my 80% completed Pokemon Silver. Story 86. This was many years ago. He kept nagging me to take a computer course. My job as a restaurant manager was somehow not good enough. I asked what so I could become somebody's secretary. I took the course and ended up being somebody's secretary. Story 87. No, it is not you. The problem is me. It is bad but still effective. Story 88. I broke up with a man after the first time I invited him to meet my parents. Our friendly, loving collie did not like him, would not let him pet the dog, and stared at him the entire evening. I do not know if people consider that a dumb reason. Story 89. I know people who broke up because of race. Come on, it is 2024 and we should be past this. Story 90. One of my friends broke up with her United States Navy pilot husband because she did not like the smell of his head when he returned from work. She also had issues with being a Navy wife. Oddly, he had the same name and birthday as me. He remarried within a year and left the United States Navy soon after. He moved to the Pacific Northwest, where they had planned to go when he finished his service at sea and began work for a civilian helicopter company. He makes an exceptionally good living. 10 years later, he and his wife were living on a small ranch with their horses and 4 children. My friend's brother is one of her ex-husband's best friends. My friend never remarried and says divorcing him was the worst mistake of her life. Story 91. On the 4th date, she ate from my plate. I got up, left the pub and blocked her. It was dumb, I know, but don't eat my food. Story 92. Long distance. If you do not have the patience to wait for your partner, you do not truly love them. They are just another option for you. Story 93. It's kind of weird. I've had 2 men break up with me for dumb reasons. One relationship was long-term. They were almost identical. Both realized it was a mistake, regretted it, and wanted to get back together. I can't trust any man who doesn't consider the consequences of his actions, so I ended things with both of them. I'm actually glad I don't feel heavy emotions when things go wrong, only afterwards. Story 94. Do not participate in something because when you do, you condone the behavior of everyone involved and accept the outcome. Story 95. He kept boasting about his weight loss at the gym. It was the day I realized I had gained a lot of weight because of stress, and he did not take the hint to change the subject. Story 96. A man stands up his partner, then uses their reaction to justify dumping them. Story 97. Money, I suppose. You have your entire life to earn more of it. True love doesn't always come around. Story 98. My grandmother told me once that she broke things off with her ex-fiancé before she met my grandfather because she didn't like his haircut. Story 99. Nothing. Everything is justified if you ask me. You just have to know how to pick them. Story 100. I broke up with a wonderful woman to hurt her before she could hurt me. I have been hurt so many times that I believed it was inevitable. I regret that decision. Story 101. Nothing is too trivial if it bothers you to the point that you are considering ending the relationship. Do yourself and the other person a favor. If you are unhappy, break up. One of you is likely dodging a bullet. Story 102. Back when I was in middle school, a couple broke up over freeze tag. The boyfriend didn't unfreeze his partner, so they argued right after the game. Story 103. Someone earlier said they left their significant other because of his cooking. That must have been bad food. Story 104. We weren't dating yet, It was a first date. He was a coworker I had a huge crush on. He took me out for sushi. It was his choice. I ordered a couple of crab and shrimp rolls, assuming we would share, and he told me he had a shellfish allergy. Why suggest sushi if it could be dangerous? I lost attraction to him, so there was no second date. Story 105. A poisonous mother. Very tight with money. Hates people and therefore picks them apart. Leaves the toilet seat up. Lies on the couch all day watching television. When not doing this, she stares at her phone. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.